All right, this is Tom Healy, co-founder of Growth 10, and I am with our resident social media expert, Andrew Exler. Andrew, what we've asked you to do is talk about the 5 mistakes small businesses make when they're on social media. And quickly, before we jump into these 5, I guess give us an idea of, in broad terms, what damage can you do on social media? So not everything you post is going to be helpful. Not everything you post is going to immediately generate you more leads and get more customers walking in the door. So I guess what are some of the really ugly things that can happen? And then we can jump into these 5 big mistakes that you see.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I mean, think about it. The way you meet somebody for the first time, you're going to learn a lot about that person within just a few seconds. So if you don't have a great social media platform, or you have a platform that is clearly weak in certain areas, people are going to judge it off of the bat. And if you don't have that legitimacy, it's going to hurt you down the road. So you want to make sure that your strategy and your platforms and everything are set up in a very strategic way that sets your business up for success. And the way your business in one industry is going to work on social media could be totally different than a different industry, and it's very dependent.
Well, I was going to say, and it's scary to think that we could do more harm than good on social media if we don't do this right. Like it's, we think of traditional marketing and it's okay, well, if we put a bunch of flyers in the mail or buy a billboard or something, yeah, maybe it'll be a good investment, maybe it'll be a bad. But I mean, I'm sure, and you'll share some of these just horror stories of people that, have made some massive mistakes that have hurt more than they've helped. So you got to be careful with this stuff, especially if you're not that experienced in it and you're not on it all the time. So the first thing that you had said was an ineffective platform strategy. Tell us what you mean by that.
Sure. You need to make sure that you are on the platforms that are best suited not only for your business, but for your demographic. So kind of part A on that is you're on the wrong platforms. If you're in a business that really just targets adults or older generations, you might not necessarily need to be on Snapchat and TikTok, maybe even Instagram, which is a little bit more towards a younger demographic. And on the same side of things, if you're trying to target teens and kids, you don't want to be on Facebook. You don't want to be on LinkedIn where they're not there. So the biggest thing I see on that end is just being on the wrong platforms. And then in terms of your platforms, people are sometimes on too many. My biggest role, and you'll hear it from social media experts everywhere, is if you can't be great on a platform, and great means that you are great, you are consistent, you're posting excellent, valuable content. If you can't do that, don't use the platform.
Interesting. So, you can be dominating Facebook, posting all the time, but if your target market's on LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever else they are, then you're just wasting your time. So it's not just dominating a platform, but dominating the right platform. Next thing you had said was posting too much. So what do you mean by too much? What is too much?
Sure. It's possible to overpost. I mean, there's businesses and social media accounts out there that they think just having content is good, but if it's not good content, the content isn't going to be helpful. It's not going to provide any value. And essentially it's going to annoy your followers and then annoy the base that are following you to the point where they might unlike, they might unfollow, and there you go. You're going to start losing a lot of people. It's really being strategic in what you're posting. Is what you are putting up, why am I posting that? That's the first question. What is the goal of this message? And does it need to be posted today? You're going to be much better off posting once a day over a 7-day span than posting 3 times on Monday, 0 times Tuesday, 4 times Wednesday, and then you're blank the rest of the week. So being very strategic about what's being posted when. Of course, there's crises and there's urgency where you need to have some cushion to post things immediately, but just understanding the why. And if you can't answer the why, then you probably shouldn't make that post, or you should talk to a strategist.
Well, and I'd imagine it would be really annoying too if not only were you posting too much, but you were doing it at the wrong times. I mean, if you are, a business platform and you're targeting business professionals, then blasting them on a Sunday while they're trying to relax and hang out with their family probably isn't the best time as well.
Absolutely. Some of these platforms have some amazing insight and analytical tools where you can literally see your audience who's following you. You can see what time of day they are most likely to engage with your social. So there's some businesses where I work with where 11:55 a.m. is their time, and others it's 6 p.m.
Interesting. So on the flip side would be not posting enough. And I guess what is too little?
Sure, and it definitely exists, and it's very dependent upon the business and the industry you're in. I generally have a 10-day rule where if I go to a business's social media page on whatever platform, if there's nothing in 10 days, I'm probably going to unfollow them because they're not providing enough value for me to see what they're doing. It makes me think that their priorities are elsewhere. And that kind of brings me to my point of maybe they shouldn't be on that platform if they can't be on there more consistently. Making sure, though, that you're not just posting to post. You need to have value, and you need to make sure that your content isn't suffering because you're posting too much. So that's where having a social media calendar really comes into play of planning out fun and engaging. It could be sales promotions. You could be recognizing your staff and your employees, but making sure it's consistent enough and just remembering that 10-day rule as a general rule, if not less than 10.
Well, and you keep mentioning this idea of, not spreading yourself too thin, being on multiple platforms, and then not being able to keep up with posting, and 10 days goes by, 2 weeks goes by. I also think about, I walk into my favorite coffee shop, I want to support them. If on their chalkboard or wherever they say, hey, follow us on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, it's overwhelming to me. But to your point, if they say, look, everything, we'd love to connect with you on Instagram, and we are posting every single day, really interesting stuff, specials, et cetera, I feel like I'm more compelled to join their one platform than I'm not going to sit there and join all 5 of them, correct?
Absolutely. And I'm seeing the same exact post across 4 platforms that are happening within getting messaged on the same 5 minutes. That takes the value away where I think, okay, I only need to follow one of their accounts. Whereas if I'm seeing on Instagram, you're promoting a product, where on Facebook, you might have some reviews and you're showing us a little bit more about your business, then I'm going to be more inclined to follow you on different mediums.
So quickly tell us about this next one, not engaging with your social community. What do you mean by not engaging?
Or an absolute horror story whenever I see it. You'll see a lot of businesses that are probably great. They do a lot of promotions, they do a lot of selling, but then you go to send them a DM to ask them about the product they just posted, a DM, a direct message, and you don't hear from them for 4 days. If there's comments on there and people are asking questions or they want to learn more, where can I buy this right now? If you're not responding and you're not engaging with your community, you're just self-promoting yourself, and it takes away that personable feeling. You want to have a little bit of human behind your brand and a little bit of engagement, because how awesome is it when an awesome verified brand like a Nike or an Adidas or the NFL, whatever it is, they respond to you, these big time brands, and then you feel a little bit more compelled to want to work with them because you feel that connection.
When you bring up a great point too, which is, we think if we're on 4 platforms, we have to post to 4 platforms, but we also have to respond to 4 platforms and be reactive as well as posting stuff. The last thing you have, and you've touched on this a little bit throughout, but folks spread themselves too thin. So what do you mean by them spreading themselves too thin?
Sure, and especially in small businesses, you think about how many people really have some stake in the business and who are the people running these accounts. Maybe if it's only a mom and pop shop with 2 or 3 employees, who are the people who are running these platforms as well as running the business? So it kind of takes me back to one of my earlier points, whereas if you can't do well on a platform, if you can't be great, you probably shouldn't be on there. So making sure that you're either spreading out the workload that you're doing. The president of a company might not have time to follow all these accounts. So do you outsource to social media managers who are just contract employees? Do you hire a part-time employee? Do you pass it off to another employee? You just want to make sure that you're putting work in there that can be done, and you're not overdoing it yourself to a point where it's just going to be bad.
Well, and look, most, if not all of the people that are watching, listening, or reading this are busy. They're already spread too thin. So the call to action there would be just pick one thing, be great at it, or find someone that can, but don't sit there and spread yourself too thin to where nothing ever gets done. So fantastic stuff. We really appreciate it, Andrew.
Thanks, Tom.